Hello and welcome. I'm Scott Conway, PhD, GAD, and what we're talking about today is the age of and. The age of and. Now, the age of and is based upon the idea of an ampersand. An ampersand is, the and symbol. It resembles a broken infinity, and so if you were to flip an and symbol sideways, you kind of have this infinity symbol, but it's just not quite right. It reminds us that nothing truly lasts forever, but there is always an and. So what is the age of and? Well, the idea of the age of and is a recognition of whatever's done is done. Whatever's over is over. Whatever is in the past is now prologue. The present is all we have. The future is all we can build. I can't rebuild my past. I can't change instantly my present. I can make different decisions in my present and build a different future, but it is what it is. The idea of the age of and goes with this question: what can I make with what I have now? What can I make with what I have now? The simple idea of and is that we have what we have. The building blocks available to us are the building blocks available to us. We are right here. It is right now. From right here, from right now, with what we have, what can we make? So that's the basic idea. It's pretty simple and straightforward and hopefully somewhat self-evident. Because we do not have what we do not have. What used to be but isn't anymore, isn't anymore. So whether we've been there and done that, whether we've had it before, whether, we wish this was still true, or we wish that was still true, we wish I hadn't done this, or they hadn't done that, or we wish we hadn't lost this, or the economy hadn't, or the job hadn't. But it is. Everything is. It just is. So from right here, from right now, with the pieces we have, what can we do? There is always an and. There is always something we can do from here. Now, it's not literally always. I mean, you can imagine some hypothetical scenarios. You can probably come up with somebody that you've known at some point where they were out of options and they were just stuck. Someone who is stuck in this desperate war situation, or someone with this serious illness and they're stuck in bed. So there are a lot of hypothetical places where there's no and left. But if you think about the totality of all the situations that life holds, and how many of them have no and, it's almost none of them. So if you go in assuming there is always an and, then you will always look for the and. Thinking this way helps us really seek the and all the time. So some of this comes from my own age of and. I've talked about it on and off. I've posted about it on social media on and off. Some people have noticed that I have a lot of and stuff. I've just bought some and dessert plates. I have an and paperweight. These things that I use to remind myself I'm in my own age of and. Now here's part of how some of it happened for me. So I was married, and during the time I was married, I developed all of these ideas of my future. I had hopes, I had dreams, I had goals. These hopes, these dreams, these goals, this vision of all the different possibilities that could be created for my future, every single one of them, everyone, included my wife and included the kids. And when that marriage was lost, from the very day I was asked for the divorce, suddenly all that was gone. It's instantly gone. Even as things had gotten to where they had gotten, and I knew I was separated, I figured, okay, I'm either separated pending reconciliation or I'm separated pending divorce. I don't know which. And so when I had the opportunities that periodically arose, earlier on I had the, well, I'm still married conversation, because I know a lot of men who are separated from their wives treat themselves like they're single, but I had that conversation that I am still married. Later on, as we've been separated for a little while, I still had the, well, I'm separated, yes, because that came up during the course of the conversation. But I don't know if I'm separated pending divorce or separated pending reconciliation. My hope is still reconciliation. But I don't know what decision she's going to make because she's the one who knows all the family variables on her side. And so I'm turning down opportunity. I'm walking away from the spark. I'm walking away from the attraction. I'm walking away from the desire because I still have all these pictures in my head of this future with this woman and with these kids. And of the thousands of different directions life can go, it had not really honestly occurred to me that the future wouldn't include them. And from the day I was asked for the divorce, all of a sudden that's different. Part of the biggest loss for me isn't just losing her, because I'm going to still be friends with her. When I got married, I promised that I would love her. Well, I still love her. When I got married, I promised that I would honor her. Well, I still honor her. When I got married, I promised I would cherish her. Well, I still cherish her. I mean, we've been divorced now for years. But for me, when I take these wedding vows, I take my wedding vows at a different level of serious. So if I promise that I will love you, I will love you. If I promise I will honor you, I will honor you. If I promise I will cherish you, I will cherish you. Married or divorced, as long as I shall live. Now, not all of it applies. The having, that's the sexual relationship, that goes away. The holding, and that's the non-sexual affectionate relationship, and the hugs and the kisses and such, that drops down to whatever level is appropriate for the nature of our relationship, which will be considerably backed off. The forsaking others, well, that's no longer applicable. The cleaving, now cleaving is there's my way and there's your way, and we're going to make it our way. That still applies to every relationship. That my relationship with you is not something I alone dictate. Because then that's not a relationship. That's not a friendship. That's not a partnership. If it's all about me, and all of your interaction with me is in some way based only on me, if the relationship that we have is centered on me and I'll do for you what pleases me to do for you, then we don't really have a partnership. We don't really have a friendship. We don't have a peer relationship. And so if I do something like that, that's not cleaving. That's my way, and your way will be subsumed to my way because your job is to serve me. So I still do the cleaving. There's my way, there's your way, there will be an our way. Now the our way in friendship is very different than the our way of marital partnership. There's a level of intimate intertwining in all things when you're talking about a marriage partnership. It's just like the difference if you own a business, I own a business, and we do business together versus being business partners. It's a whole different level of being intertwined. And so as friends, there's a different level of it, but there's still the cleaving. There's still the my way and your way. And that I won't let other people dictate to us what our way has to be, and that's the level of the forsaking that still takes place. Because in the forsaking all others, part of the forsaking all others isn't just don't have an affair. The part of forsaking all others means don't make other people more important than your primary relationship. That the primary is primary, secondary is secondary. If you are my wife, you are my primary relationship, even if there's kids. Because we are building a partnership, and this partnership will raise the children. And all that was gone too. And the better or worse, well, now it's pretty bad, but I still want her better, and I will be her friend and her partner through better or worse, and I will try to do my best to make sure my presence is always in addition to the better, for richer or poorer, that my life to enrich her life and not impoverish her life. So that by virtue of still being my friend, by virtue of having had this marriage relationship with me, having me as an ex-husband, the fact I was in her life was a net gain to her life, and the fact I am still in her life, even as a much more distant friend, is still a net gain to her life. And in sickness and in health, to still be there to support her health, healthy relationships, a healthy body, a healthy life and lifestyle, and of course her physical health. And that should she get sick, that she can count on me for an appropriate level of friendship support. And for as long as we both shall live. That's the deal. So all of that still goes for me. And so part of my challenge was, okay, so that's still the deal, but now my whole future is gone. The deal that I thought I was building, the life I thought I was building, the myriad of potential futures I was building was all gone. So I didn't have to mourn her loss so much as mourn the loss of that entire future. Because I'm still going to be her friend. We're still going to mean something to each other. It's still going to be important that she's in my life and I'm in her life. We're still going to have some interaction. I'm still going to see the kids, at least from time to time. And so when we're doing all of these things, I'm still going to have that. But all of that future is gone. It's all gone. Everything I was building, the entire future, is gone. And that was the hard part to deal with. That it was completely shattered. It doesn't exist anymore. It's no longer on the table. It's no longer a possibility. And I didn't realize how badly that hurt. Because part of it for me is I live in both the past, present, and the future simultaneously. I savor my past. I mean, sure, there's some hurtful events in the past. I don't really dwell on those. What I try to do with those is I dive in, I get to the middle of the memory. This is the 5-step forgiveness system, if you're not familiar with it. I get to the middle of the memory. I determine what the wrong is. I determine what the bad lessons could be, what the good lessons should be. I put away the bad. I file the memory, and I take away the positive lesson. So it's pretty simple and straightforward, and that's something I've been doing for years and years. Half of it runs on autopilot all the time in the background for me now, and so I don't have to worry about these things so much. And so while I'm dealing with my history, I take the pleasant memories with me. I savor all of those, and so I have this incredible treasure that I built up in my personal history, and a stack of lessons, which is even more treasure. While I have a realization and an acknowledgement of the bad things that happen, but I don't let them control my life. In my present, I have a bunch of treasure, and there's some trash stuff that comes up, and because there's problems to be solved and trouble to be shot, you got to be a problem solver, you got to be a troubleshooter, you got to handle it. And so you can't put it away yet because you're still working with it. But the future. I also live in the future. I tend to think generationally. And so for me, it wasn't just that, what are she and I going to go do next weekend? What are we going to try to get to later on this year? What family vacation might we take in the next year or two? But because I tend to think generationally, I'm thinking through a year, 5 years, 10 years. I'm thinking through the kids and their wives, and I'm thinking through the grandkids and all the things that I want to make sure that the kids learn and that the grandkids learn and understand, and the life that they're prepared to lead. And I'm thinking through 50 years into the future. And in one moment, I've decided I want a divorce. That one sentence shatters all of it. And because all of that was shattered, because 50 years of infinite hopes and dreams, of different directions things could go, and not fathoming for a moment that all of that could disappear, I had a level of shock that hurt me more than I realized even. And so as I went through and did all my standard stuff where I hang on to my treasures, the part I hadn't really fully wrapped my head around is how much of my future I just lost. And for me, I kind of lived in this low-grade sadness. Some people might, call it depression, but I don't think it was depression. It was just a low-grade sadness, and it persisted for about 2 years. And part of what's happening in my mind for those 2 years is slowly, as that whole future is, it's already gone, but I'm systematically letting it all go. So it is gone, but just because something's gone, have you noticed sometimes, even though something's gone, done, over with, we hang on to it, and we drag it forward with us? Sometimes we can have this horrifically traumatic event. I mean, the thing that, any rational person would say, okay, let it go, forgive it, can't happen again, done, over with, let's move on. But we end up hanging on, and we drag it forward with us, and we react to it, we respond to it. We act out on it. We react to other people because of it. Well, likewise, I had all these hopes and these dreams, and even though I know they're gone, I know they're done, they're over, they're still carrying forward with me because I have been so steeped in them for so long. And having to systematically let those go as they sort of begin to dissolve in my heart. Usually that wouldn't take nearly as long as it did. And it took 2 years. I mean, that's a long time for me. That's a long time for me to be sad. Now, I still did all the things I had to do. I still took care of business. I still, went out. I had a social life. I had a dating life. I lived my life. I taught my classes. I wrote my books. I did everything I was supposed to do. But I still had this kind of background sadness as my heart is slowly reconciling to the fact that I have no future of all of those possible futures I thought I was building. And that what I need to do, and what I am doing, is building something new and different that doesn't include her, and doesn't include the kids. Has space for them, but they're not at the center of it anymore. And after a couple of years, when I had deeply reconciled the fact that it's done, when I had fully and completely let go of everything I was aiming for, I could ask the question, okay, what now? So what now? Well, something is always possible. What options and opportunities are open to us? What is on our menu of options? Every decision is a selection from a perceived menu of options. What do we perceive our options to be? What do I perceive my options to be? Of the things that are possibilities for me, what do I consider options that I would consider taking, and why? What do I see as the pros and the cons? What is meaningful to me? What's not meaningful to me? Because it's easy to get fixated on options we do not have. It's easy to hang on to something that we wish was. It's easy to focus on stuff that we wish wasn't, but is. But what is? What is on my menu of options? Because my menu of options is nearly infinite. I mean, you can't put stuff up on the menu of options. Okay, that's it. Those are every single choice you have, Scott. There is no other choice. You can't make that list. Because as soon as I make a choice, it changes the choices that are available to me. As soon as I select something from my menu of options, it changes the menu of options. It adds new things. It takes old things away. Even as simple a thing as, well, what am I going to do today? How many options are there for how I could spend today? Any given minute, I have a limited menu of options. I'm planning the larger day. I have a much broader level of options. What am I going to do this week? What am I going to do this month? That's a pretty big list. I mean, there's no place you can say, okay, Scott, these are the only things that are available to you. There are no other options or opportunities for you on the planet. It's a crazy list. I mean, even a simpler thing is like, well, you could go to that restaurant. Well, how many other restaurants could I go to? Any of them. Okay, once you're at the restaurant, what could you order? Anything that's on the menu. And so you just look at even just that far. That's an infinite number of possibilities. And if I'm at the restaurant, am I limited to the menu? Or can I swap some things out? Can I ask him to cook something one way as opposed to another way? Can I ask for the upgrade to the curly fries instead of the regular fries, the Jack in the Box? I mean, there's all kinds of things available to you. And when you begin to look at life that way, as this infinite menu, then the question is, so of this infinite opportunity available to me, what am I going to choose to build? Instead of getting fixated on things that aren't on my menu of options, let me take a look at what is on my menu of options. Our focus is often better served by fixating on what options are open to us, instead of fixating what options are not. It can be surprising to consider all of the things we might be able to do from right here. Pretty much no matter what here is for us. So when we got done, if we just sat down and we said, okay, let's start to make a list of what any of us could do just today. What's on our today opportunity list? We could spend the entire day doing nothing but making a list of things we could have done today. Here's one of the keys to the age of and, to living an awesome life, is understand this. There is awesome in everything. There is awesome in everything. Like there's always an and. This is not literally true. Yes, there are some things that are so terrible it does not directly have an awesome in it. But it's still a powerful way to think. Even if something is so trashy, so much trash, that in and of itself there is no treasure connected to it, we can still choose to find treasure because of it. Or we can find treasure despite it. That even though this thing is happening, what treasure can we find anyway? Because this thing is happening, what lessons can we use it to learn? And sometimes even just flat out flipping and say, okay, we got this stuff going on. That motivates me to step up and look for the treasure. Because I've got treasure in my life all the time. Trash is still trash. We just treasure hunt. So in this, I was chatting with someone about my relationship status. And I want to know, well, how are you liking your single life? Said, being single is awesome. I said, well, I'm surprised to hear that from you. I thought you enjoyed being married. Oh yeah, being married is awesome. This is, well, they can't both be awesome. It's like, of course they can both be awesome. There is awesome in married life that you can't have single. There is awesome in single life that you can't, or at least you shouldn't have, married. That when I was married, there was an awesome in that marriage. I married a spectacular woman. That I have a long history that shows I have spectacular taste in women. That even in some of the worst relationships I've had with women, there was still spectacular in that woman. In fact, one of the worst girlfriends I ever had, because she was possessive, she was jealous, she was territorial, but she was great to me when she was with me, but she would always try to back off other women. Not in my presence, because she knew that that wouldn't be good, but here was the way she did relationship. Is I will try to learn and provide for all of your needs, just as I try to learn and provide for the needs of my girlfriend. Says, but I don't want any competition. Now, I'm the opposite. I don't mind, other relationships. I don't mind if she's friends with her exes, and because I don't see that as a threat to me. That to me, if another guy is a threat to my relationship with my lady, I see the problem is in my relationship with my lady. The problem isn't in the other guy. The problem is with us. That's my general point of view. But for her, it was, I don't want any other women around. I will step up my game and I will be the girlfriend I think you deserve. I just don't want any other competition. So do you think most men would go for that deal? I think most men would. It's like, wait, I have a woman here who is actively seeking to meet my needs. The totality of what she believes I deserve because she loves me and she wants the best for me, and so she wants to be that girlfriend for me. And I do the same thing in my relationships. I want to be the man in her life that seeks to fulfill all of her needs within a reasonable context. And I have no problem with for getting some of her needs met outside. A common example I use, even though this isn't particular to me, is for a lot of men, they understand that the women may have conversation needs, and some men don't feel up to providing for the conversation need, but they have no objection if she wants to go hang out with her girlfriends and have conversation with somebody else. And that they're totally okay with that. But in her case, she says, I will try to meet all of your needs. I just don't want any female competition. You can hang out with the guys. I just don't want any female competition. A lot of guys would love that deal because most people are in relationships with someone who tends to be more self-focused instead of partnership-focused. And it's very common for both men and women to recognize at some point in the relationship the partner is seemingly more looking out for themselves than looking out for the partnership. And when that starts to happen, people have to decide if they're going to stay in the relationship or not, if they're going to put up with it or not. But she wasn't that kind of girlfriend. So does she have problems? I mean, for me and my values, that's a breakup offense. But for a lot of men, they go, it's the best deal they've ever gotten. So even what I consider my worst relationship, there was still a lot of spectacular in this woman. That there's a lot of men, they would jump at that deal because they don't get that deal from very many women. Just as I would expect if the reciprocal were true, if there was a man and he really wants to treat you right, he really wants to be there. He just doesn't want any other men in your life. He doesn't want that feeling of competition. But he will be the man that he thinks a woman he loves deserves. For a lot of women, that's the best deal they've ever gotten. And that was her. And so, even in my worst relationship, they're spectacular. And so I have a lot of treasured memories of a lot of fantastic relationships. And of course, when I marry a woman, oh my gosh, I still consider the women that I have married, and I've been married twice, to be among the most spectacular women on the planet. And I've had some interaction with both of them, even just in the last week or two. And because I'm supportive of their future relationships, they're supportive of my future relationships. That's, my first wife was at the wedding of the second wife. My second wife was at my first wife's wedding when she got remarried. And this is the kind of thing that we do because we still matter to each other. And so when we look at all of this stuff, we look for treasure and potential treasure. That I have all of this spectacular. I have all of this spectacular history. And all of that was spectacular. It was awesome. Being married was awesome. I loved being a husband. I loved having a wife. I loved having kids. It was awesome. Well, now, of course, things are different. Now I'm single. And I have decided I don't really want a serious relationship. Does that mean I'll never want a serious relationship? Well, I can't say that. I don't know. Right now, right here, no. So what's that mean? Well, I'm going to date. But because the last two new women I engaged in a serious, intimate connection with, both were my wives. I'm kind of looking to maintain a line in there. I'm not crossing this line. But, the opportunity has arisen. I've had the conversation of this far, but really no further. And I've had to have that conversation a couple of times, which for some women is a little awkward, I understand. But that's part of, I want to be upfront with some of these things, and it looks like things are going to start going down one of those paths. So that way we all understand, okay, this is what we're doing. And we're not doing that, and we're not doing that. But being single has been awesome. What is it? It's right now as I'm recording this, it's May. And so far this year, I've been out on dates at some level with probably a dozen different women. Sometimes it's just lunch. Sometimes it's dinner. Sometimes it's a stroll. Sometimes it's just a meeting to sit down and have a pleasant chat at Starbucks. And keeping it nice, keeping it friendly. Some of the times it's more serious. It's like dinner and a concert, or a really nice movie, or a day at Legoland. And being single has been awesome. over the couple of 2.5 years since I've been divorced, I've probably been out with, 30, 40 different women on a couple of hundred dates. Being single is awesome. The options and opportunities open to me is awesome. The things that I can just go do without having to consider, even for a moment, having to clear it with someone else's schedule to make sure that everything that still needs to get done is going to get done and all of that stuff. There's a tremendous amount of freedom in that. Finish my work whenever I decide to finish my work. No one's at home waiting for me. Start my work whenever I want to start my work, because, again, no one's at home waiting for me. My schedule doesn't depend on anyone else's schedule, except for those moments where I have specific plans or appointments. That's awesome. And so being single is awesome. Being married is awesome. There are different kinds of awesomes, because there is awesome in everything. And as I seek out the awesome in whatever is the reality right now, because the reality is the reality. It is what is. And what I wish it was is really not relevant. I mean, it would be nice if things weren't the way that they are in certain areas. It's nice that they are the way they are in other areas, but if I fixate on, darn it, it's not this way, well, I'm missing out on the awesome. So when I was married, I want to center in, steep myself in, and really live in the awesome of being married. Sometimes we do that exactly backward. That when we're married, we tend to steep and live in the annoyance and frustration of being married. Then likewise, single, I steep myself in the awesome of being single, and again, that's something else. Sometimes people will steep themselves in the part they don't like of being single, and then they'll say, I wish I was in a relationship, and then they get I wish I had freedom. They're always lamenting what is and wishing for what isn't. And sometimes the stereotypical male thing when you're in a relationship, I wish I had my freedom. I mean, look at all these babes. And one of the stereotypical things of women is, I know we have a good dating relationship, but I wish we were engaged. Or I know we're engaged, but I wish we were married. Or I know that we're married, but I wish we had children. And it's always like, I'm not happy where I am. I have to get someplace else. That there's this perpetual discontent that a lot of people live in. And that our society supports, and our society just really drives, which I find incredibly unhealthy. Now, it's good to not be complacent. Complacency is, I don't want to make anything any better. I don't want to make anything any different. We'll just leave it however it is. But contentment is, it's in a good place. And it's totally okay to be excited about a good place and be moving forward. It's totally okay for the first grader to go be a good first grader and embrace the awesomeness of first grade and know that second grade's coming later. Think about how many times when you were kids you wish you were a grown-up. And then as grown-ups, how many times we wish we could go be kids again. There's the memes running around with, I'm done adulting. I'm going to be in my blanket fort coloring. Where sometimes we wish we could just set aside the responsibilities for a while. We were just discussing this with kids about the idea that when I'm a grown-up, I can, and what do most kids know? I can do what I want. And what we teach them is, when I'm a grown-up, I will be responsible for everything. Now, part of why this is so important is if as a teenager you have the idea that when I'm a grown-up I can do what I want, what will you do when you want to feel more grown-up? You're going to go do what you want. If you feel like being a grown-up means being responsible, then when you're a teenager and you want to feel more grown-up, you will go be responsible. And there's awesome in everything. There's awesome in being a kid. There's awesome in being a teenager. There's awesome in being single. There's awesome in being married. There's awesome in being childless. There's awesome in having children. There's awesome in everything. So you're always looking for your treasure or your potential treasure. Now this is related to a concept sometimes I'll talk about too, of victory or pending victory. I either have won or I will win. Treasure and potential treasure is this concept. What treasure do we already have? If I have problems and they need to be solved, of course solve the problems. Problems require solutions. Now, I will admit, for me, if you want to see me going crazy, if you want a crazy-making scenario in my life, it's unsolvable problems, where I have to focus on it because it's a problem, but there just doesn't seem to be a solution. To me, that's crazy-making. You know, troubleshooting, where there's trouble, but there's nothing you can do about it, is crazy-making to me. So what if I just focused on that? And I lived there. I'd live in the crazy place. What I do is what I call living a life of fury. I'd be living a life with my rules being broken, and that would be my life. Well, for that to happen to me, it has to intrude itself on me, because I'm not going to live there. It comes knocking sometimes and says, hey, broken rule, trouble that can't be shot, problem that can't be solved. I don't want to live there on purpose. That's insane, because it'll drive me insane. So what treasure do we have? And live there. What treasure do we have? The trouble, the problems, they're going to intrude on me anyway. If I can solve the problem, I love to dive into problems that can be solved. I love to find trouble that can be solved. The problem-solving, troubleshooting thing, that is a lot of fun for me. But when there's nothing that can be done, it has to intrude itself on me. Because I will choose to live with my treasure. What treasure can we create? Sometimes we may not have treasure right now, but there's an opportunity to have treasure. What treasure can we create? Pardon me. What treasure can we acquire? Which is very similar to creation. And we go take a look. Now, sometimes what I find for me is making plans is treasure. These seemingly casual questions are part of treasure hunting. What do I have? What can I make? What can I get? What treasure do I already have in my life? And I can focus there. What treasure can I make in my life? What can I create? And go create some. What can I acquire? And then go get some. Here's some questions you can be asking. What's great in this? What's great in this? Right here, right now, what's great in this? Now, it may not necessarily be great about this, but there may be great in this moment, in this situation. Sometimes the situation is so much garbage that what's going to be great in this is I get to show who I am. I get to show how a man like me handles a situation like that. My students will get to see me how I step up. That they'll get to watch me walk out in my life the things they hear me teach. That they will get to see that while it's easy for me to sit and do a mat chat on a subject, they will get to watch me live it out. So that could be something great in it. Now, can the situation just really be trash? Absolutely. But sometimes the trash, I can look at it as like, okay, it is what it is. It's a problem, and it's going to need to be solved. It's trouble, it's going to need to be shot. It's a mess, and there's really not a lot I can do about it right now. It's a chance for me to show who I am. It's a chance for me to do the things I tell other people to do. It's a chance for me to step up and show my integrity. That the things that I teach are the things that I do. Because I am not one of these people who sits around and I teach one thing and I do the complete opposite. I am a sensei. And sensei step up, walk the path, and show others the way. And if I'm going to have integrity as a martial arts master, the foundation of a martial arts mastery is senseiship. I walk the path so that I can show others the way by example, not just by words. Can that be great in this? For someone like me, absolutely. That is enormously powerful. Related, of course, what awesome do I have? What awesome do I have? Now, this is much more generic than what's great in this. This is a much broader question. What awesome do I have? Right here, right now, what awesome do I have? I could have a day that is just horribly frustrating and painful. Well, just to be really objective, well, what's some of the things I have? Well, I have a Balboa Park pass to get into all of the museums. I have a zoo pass and safari park pass. I have a pass to Legoland and to the aquarium. So just on the passes that I have, I've got like 22 different places I could go for free on the passes I already have. Well, that's pretty awesome. So if I need a distraction from just this horrific day, I've got all these places I could go for that distraction that would normally cost money, but I already have the pass. If I'm getting bogged down, like I was finding that my productivity in my writing was getting down to like, if I generated a page in an hour, it was a good hour. It was more like a page every 2 or 3 hours. It was getting ridiculous how slow I was generating material. So I said, that's it. I'm done. Let me pack up my laptop, and I'm going to head out and go find a place to work. And so I headed down to Balboa Park. I used my pass to go see one museum, and there wasn't a good place to work in there. So then I headed over to a different museum. And it's kind of fun because I'm walking in this museum, and it's $19 to get in. But I have a pass, so it's free. And I go in, and because I'm not paying $19 to get in, it's totally okay to just kind of go in, find a place to work, and sit down to work. Otherwise, I'd be paying $20 to work someplace. And then they closed earlier than another one, and so then when they were shutting down and I left, I went over to another museum that was opened later, and it was also another $19 to get in, which I don't have to pay. And so I went and I did like $50 of admissions in places. Just go find an interesting place to work. And I generated 5 pages of material in about 2.5 hours. So all of a sudden I'm going from a page every hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, to boom, 5 pages in 2.5 hours. So doubled my productivity on fairly ordinary productivity, and from what I was actually doing, I easily tenfolded my productivity by just doing something as like, what awesome do I have? I have all of these things. And there's tons of free stuff I could do. What awesome free stuff is there to go do? So the other day, seeking out some awesome, what spectacular thing, is I decided to go look for the sunken ship Monte Carlo. That in Coronado, when you go to Coronado, just south of the Hotel Del on the beach side, or the ocean side, there's a sunken ship. Now I found out that the sunken ship gets buried every spring and it gets uncovered every fall. And that the time to go try to see it best is like October, November. I didn't know that going down, so this was my treasure hunt. So I headed down, I found where it was. Ultimately, I found a lifeguard to talk to. The lifeguard kind of filled me in on what the deal is with that. I'm posting pictures, I'm having a good time, and didn't find what I was looking for, but I'm still at a Coronado Beach. That's still pretty cool, a win for me. And I decided, I'm going to hang out down here. And so I went and moved my car, and I wandered around. I went to some shops and enjoyed a little bit of window shopping. Now, one thing about window shopping is once in a while you turns into window buying. And so I found some things that I've been looking for. Part of it is related to the age of and. And I just got to enjoy my time visiting people, chit-chatting with people, getting to look at some things, take some pictures. Got some beautiful pictures of a gorgeous sunset from a few views. Took a picture of a place I have some great memories in. It was a great and awesome evening. What spectacular things can I still be, do, and have? What spectacular things can I be, do, and have. Now you hear me talk about how spectacular the women are in my life. Well, why are they spectacular? Does that mean that there's nothing wrong with them? They do everything perfectly. They are magnificent. They stand up on this pedestal as these wonderful things of marble beauty. No, of course not. They're just regular people, but they're pretty spectacular regular people. In order for me to see a regular human being, even an exceptional human being, as spectacular, that means my awareness is on where the mismatches are and where some issues and problems might be, but my focus is on what's most great about them. Well, I do the same thing with myself. I want to be aware of where my mismatches are with some stuff that I might be doing or people I might be connecting to. Be aware of where my problems are, my limitations are, and the things I need to work on, and the things I want to still keep improving. But my focus, just like I do with other people, to love myself the same way I love others, to love others the same way I love myself, is to focus on the spectacular. To center myself on the spectacular. The other stuff may still need work, but just like the problem solving, why do I focus on a problem? In order to solve it. Why do I focus on the trouble? In order to shoot it. But you don't focus on the trouble just to have trouble. You focus on the trouble as a troubleshooter, because troubleshooters shoot the trouble. What do I do with the problems? You solve the problems. What did I do in first grade when my teacher handed me a test, and the first question is, what is 1 plus 2? They go, there's a problem. And then, okay, all right, so I'm done. I've acknowledged there's a problem. I feel bad about the problem. Now there's another problem. Is that what you do when you're 6 years old in the first grade and you're taking an arithmetic test? Of course not. It's not about looking at the problems and feeling bad about the problems and knowing, I'm going to fail. Well, of course you're going to fail if you're not solving the problems. It's about solving the problems. Deciding what you're going to do with 1 plus 2. I'll write a 3. I think that's the solution to the problem. You solve the problems. So I still need to do that with myself. I can't just ignore the problems, because if you ignore the problems, you fail the test, right? If you look at the problems and you just feel bad about the problems and still don't solve the problems, now how do you do on the test? You still fail the test. So if someone gives my kid a test in first grade, and my kid just ignores the test, what's their grade? They get an F. If my kid looks at the test and acknowledges the problems and sets the test aside and doesn't solve any, what's the grade? That's still an F. Well, the kid looks at the test, feels terrible about all of these problems. Look at all these problems. Now how does the kid do? Still fails the test. How do you pass the test? You solve the problems. So in my own life, I need to see the problems. I need to solve the problems so that I can pass the test. But I don't live in the problems. I live in the spectacular. Who are you? What is spectacular in you and about you? Is there trouble to be shed? Of course there is. Are the problems to be solved? Of course there are. But one of the ways I define it is, do you want to know a way to tell if a married couple is having marriage problems? There's one easy key indicator that you can use to determine if a married couple is having marriage problems. They're married. Now, the extent to which they arrive at their problems as partners, or they arrive at their problems as opponents, will determine how aware they are of their problems and how painful those problems are. But as far as dealing with problems, you're going to have them. Same thing, like, do you want to know how you can tell if a parent is having parenting problems? They're a parent. How well they can solve the problems will determine in large part how much they experience the problems. But they're going to have them. So having problems, having trouble, having things to work on, things to fix, things to improve, does not diminish the spectacular. So what is spectacular? What spectacular things are you right now? What spectacular things can you still be? How spectacularly can you fulfill any given role in your life? What roles could you choose to be spectacular at? There's sometimes you might be spectacular at man, spectacular at boyfriend, spectacular at husband, spectacular at father, spectacular as lawyer, spectacular as real estate broker, spectacular as author, spectacular as martial arts instructor, spectacular at karate, spectacular at jiu-jitsu, spectacular at kobo-jitsu, spectacular at kempo, spectacular at art, spectacular at adventure making, spectacular at friendship. And those are my options. And that's a limited list of my options. So if I'm feeling kind of like I'm having a down day, I can go choose to be spectacular in any one of those roles I can be spectacular in. What spectacular things can I still do? Sometimes I teach some pretty awesome classes. Sometimes I can still draw some pretty awesome pictures. I haven't for a while, though. Sometimes I can write some pretty awesome stuff. In fact, it's funny, I was at a store and I saw this thing of dipping ink for like the quill style pens with the steel stylus, and all these different colored inks. Ooh, that's so cool. But I'm not using the ink I have. I have a feather with a steel tip stylus. I have it, but I can't really justify spending more money to get ink when I'm not using what I have with the cool paper I have, with the cool pens that I have. But it did get me thinking. It's like, it would probably be a good thing for me to go start using some of those. That would be pretty awesome. What spectacular things can you do? What spectacular adventures can you go have? So what could I do? Well, I could head down to the museums. I could head down to the Japanese garden. I could head down to the beach of Coronado. I could head up to Legoland. And that list just goes on and on and on. What spectacular things can I still have? And that is a huge list. I live in the United States of America in the early 21st century. The ordinary things I can have as a dead broke person weren't available to Andrew Carnegie in 1900s. Some of the stuff I can have here now as a dead broke person, King Solomon himself could not have bought with all the gold and silver in his treasury. I've got some pretty awesome stuff. But what if that's not enough for me? Even just recently, there's some movies that interested me enough that I wanted to see them. I checked my available streaming services and I didn't see it there. And I thought, well, I don't want to spend any money on them, but I kind of like to see them. And so I went to the library, and I'm looking around, like, hey, it's here at the library. And so I checked it out. So I go, okay, so what do I have? I have this movie, and I have this movie, and I have this movie that I get to go home and watch at my leisure. And I have that now. Why? I didn't pay for it. I didn't buy it. So I can't say I deserve it because I didn't earn the money and go pay the money to get it. It's available to me for free. So even as a dead broke person, I can have this huge library of DVDs. If there's some music I want to listen to, it's all over online. Someone had posted something about, this particular artist, and I don't know who that is, so what do? Enter it in the search engine, pops up on one of the services, click play, and go, that's pretty cool. And now I got to learn something that helps me connect with a friend. And then you get exposed to things that you might not normally have been exposed to. It was pretty awesome. All that available. Now what if I'm so dead broke that I don't have streaming, I don't have a computer? The library has those, which is even more awesome. I could sit down at a multi-hundred, even sometimes a multi-$1,000 setup if I was going to have to pay for the computers and pay for the internet and all, and it's for free. Well, I have to get a library card. You know how much my library card cost me? Nothing! It's free! Pretty good deal! So what spectacular things can I still be? What spectacular things can I still do? What spectacular things can I still have? Pretty much no matter what else is going on. The ands are endless. There's no end to your and. From right here, right now. This is your punctuation mark on the past. The past is prologue. The present is your punctuation. What and do you have available? And now what? There's no limit to our ends. There's no place where someone can say concretely, these are all your options. There's no option you have that's not on the list, and there will never be any other options than this. There is no place in life where that is true. Up to the dying moments of life, you have options. We can find and in any area of life. Part of my local and has been what I'm calling the Year of San Diego. So this is my Year of San Diego. This is a little bit of my and. As part of my Year of San Diego, I have been or have plans to go to the San Diego Zoo. Been there, done that. Safari Park, been there, done that. I've had dates at both the zoo and the Safari Park too. That was kind of fun. I've been to Legoland, had a nice date at Legoland. I have another date coming up at Legoland in the coming months. I'm planning on going to SeaWorld. Haven't done that one yet. I've got my Balboa Park pass. I've been to the Museum of Man. I've been to the Art Museum, the Mingei Gallery, the Timken. I have plans to go linger in the Timken. It's funny, I went there on a Monday. I found out they're closed on Monday. The Natural History Museum, the Reuben H. Fleet Science Center, the Photographic Arts Museum, the Model Train Museum. That ended up being way cooler than I thought it was going to be. The Art Institute, which is kind of more modern art stuff. The Veterans Memorial and Museum. The Japanese Gardens. And there's a few other things down in that area that I've gotten to go to. Over at Cuyamaca College, not far from here, we have the Xeriscape Gardens. I think they're called the Water Conservation Gardens. And it's about xeriscaping, which is the low water landscaping. I've got plans to go to the Cabrillo National Monument. A friend of mine went there and said, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And it's over at Cabrillo Point, at the end of Point Loma, where Cabrillo first landed. So bringing Western civilization here. And the old lighthouse that was the Admiral's house in Top Gun is down there. There's some tide pools down there, an old lighthouse up on top, and the visitor center there, so that's on the list. Carlsbad Flower Fields, I had a wonderful day there with my mom. And then the Monte Carlo, which is the sunken ship that I mentioned before, and there's a whole story about that sunken ship that I think is pretty cool. I'm going to try to go see that in October, November. Old Town, there's a hacienda in Old Town. A lot of people go to Old Town just for the shops and the restaurants, and it's amazing for that. But I also want to go back to Old Town and visit the hacienda, realizing that I've been there several times, but I haven't gone to the historical thing. And also down in Old Town we have the Whaley House, and there's some other things to go look at I want to go check out. The Presidio, I understand that the Presidio is now only open on weekends. I mean, of course, the buildings there, you can go to Presidio Park. And so I want to go there on some weekend and get inside the Presidio. The Mission Dam, I went down to the Mission Dam and the Mission Trails Visitor Center. So I did that last weekend. And for me, that's part of the Year of San Diego. What kicked that off is I was in Las Vegas last December, and someone asked me about Legoland. Because one of my friends in Las Vegas is a concierge at Caesar's Palace. And so we were out, and she asked me, it's like, oh, you know, they told me they can give us some free passes to Legoland. What's Legoland like? I said, well, I don't know, actually. I've never been. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was in San Diego. I said, well, it is, and it's been open since 1999. I've just never been. Well, okay, this is ridiculous. I've never once even been inside Legoland. And I said, okay, well, she was getting some free passes. And okay, so, well, let's go to Legoland. She was going to come into town to do that. And so we made plans. Now, she ended up having to cancel because she was going to go take her grandson. But the grandson's mom canceled, which was her daughter-in-law. And so we didn't go. But then I went with another friend. And so we had the Legoland date there. And I finally got to see Legoland. Well, that kind of got me going on this idea of San Diego attractions I haven't seen either ever or for a long time. And so I decided, you know, I have my zoo pass already. I've been doing the zoo and the safari park for a while. Maybe I should also go to SeaWorld. That's our other big amusement park. I haven't been there for a while. And so I thought, yeah, okay, I'll make SeaWorld on the list too. And you know what, actually, the museum is at Balboa Park. I thought maybe I should get a week pass and go see all the museums. And so I looked that up online and go, there's 17 things? I was trying to think, okay, I could only figure out like what 12 of them were. So I got the annual pass, so I could go linger in everything, just like one thing a week. So I wouldn't have to be in any hurry. And so far I've been at least inside everything the pass is good for. And there's another thing there called the Marston House, which is an old historical house. Haven't been inside that one yet because that's not on the pass. I went and checked. And then, okay, well, that goes on the list too. And it kind of kicked off this whole thing where I said, well, what else around San Diego have I not done for years? And it's where the Xeriscape Gardens got put on there. There's a heritage museum over right near the gardens at Cuyamaca College that I don't know how much that costs. I haven't actually gone to look yet, but I figure it's got to be fairly inexpensive. And the last time I was there was like with a Boy Scout thing. So I thought, why don't you go there? The San Diego Mission del Cala. I haven't been there for like ages. I couldn't even guess when I was last there. So go check that out. And so all of these interesting San Diego adventures I decided to do as part of my year of San Diego. So what are all these spectacular things I can be, do, and have? And my love life. Love life by design. Deciding what love life do I want. Designing a love life. I must take into account in there, anytime you design a love life, you take into account that everyone is a whole person living a whole life. So I don't decide selfishly what my love life is going to be without any regard to the women that I'm spending time with. That, I'd be honoring and respectful and understand that, different people will want a yes, different people will want a no. Different people will have different standards and different tastes and different things they like to do, different things they don't like to do, different reasons for different yeses, different reasons for all of that stuff. And so to always be honoring and always to be honest, so that way they know that I'm not offering something I'm not offering, I'm not after something I'm not after. And so that we all know up front what the goal is here. And so that they're whole people. And they have their own whole lives. So while I don't get to decide how any given person will interact with me, I do get to decide how I will interact with them. Now, a simple thing that I use is this idea that if I ask a woman out and she says no, she has disqualified herself from going out with me. Why? Because do I want to be out with someone who doesn't want to go out with me? Of course not. Should someone want to be out with me if I don't want to be out with them? Of course not. So I don't see it as rejection, nearly as much as a disqualification. But at least for this, right here, right now, she's disqualified herself. Now, I also do a 3-strike rule. If someone either cancels or says no 3 times, then I'm done asking. Now, in that, sometimes if you want to say yes, but you have to say no, then you just include a yes with your no. So there was one woman, I asked her out, and right now she's in a crunch, and her crunch will alleviate in June. And so she gave me the nicest no. And she says, oh my gosh, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really flattered by the fact you would think of me. And I appreciate the invitation. I have to say no because, and she laid out her because, and I have this time crunch, this will be done in June. Now, she could have just left it there and left it completely up to me if I'm going to decide to take that as a no and maybe ask her out again. Then she included a yes with her no. She says, I would love to go out with you after June 1st, if you would like. So she included that. She pre-said yes to something in June. Now, it's important to not leave an open-ended forever yes, because then someone might show up in 2024 and say, well, you said yes. But so she limited it to June. I would like to do something with you in June. So in my new single life, I decided to embrace my singleness and to seek the awesome of being single. So for me, that's meant a lot of friendly dating. For me, that's meant, this year I've been out with like a little over a dozen maybe, different people on 15 or 20 outings. And it's just, friendly stuff, Legoland, Safari Park, the zoo, Balboa Park, Sometimes it's just with me and a woman. Sometimes it's been with me and a couple. Sometimes it's been me and other people. We've gone out to lunch. We've gone out to shows. Took an entire group of my leaders out to a concert. Now, might it someday mean a singular romance? Probably not. But it's always possible. Not any day soon, though. And so that's a question. What relationship can we have from here? With any given relationship right here, right now, it is what it is. With what is, what can we make of it? What do we want to make of it? What do I want? What does she want? Maybe we want to keep it the same. Maybe we like how it is. Maybe we want to make it different in some way. Maybe we want to change our relationship status. Maybe we want to involve it at a different level in one area and maybe take it back a notch in another area. Maybe we want to make plans to do something particularly cool. I maintain a list of dream destinations, things to look forward to doing. And in fact, if you want to see them, if you go to my Facebook page and you go to my photos, you will find a series of albums. So my Dream Destinations album is things to look forward to doing. Now, there's not just Dream Destinations. I also have Intended Road Trip as a related album, because that's something else I would normally drop into my Dream Destinations on, but it's in a separate collection because all of that would be one trip. And then I have another one of Intended Orlando Cruise Trip. And that's a pretty big album because there's lots of amusement parks, and I have lots of cool Disney photos in there too. And so, but these are Dream Destination albums. I have 3 of them that have reminders of things I plan to do. And so I get to pre-embrace the awesomeness of some future thing I haven't done yet. Some future thing that I don't actually have concrete plans even set up yet. On my Dream Destinations, I got a lot of the local stuff is still in there I haven't gotten around to yet. But it's going to get cleared this year. I also list meaningful places I've been, shows I've seen, places I've dined. If you go back in the same album set, you'll find Dreams Done, all caps with an exclamation mark. And that's really awesome places I've been, or meaningful places I've been, experiences I've gotten at. Then there's another one called Dream Show Scene. And there's a whole list of some amazing entertainment I've gotten to see. Cirque du Soleil in Hollywood, Cirque du Soleil in Orlando. 2 different Cirque shows in Las Vegas that are now closed, so they're no longer in existence to be seen. American Trilogy, a tribute show with Neil Diamond, Frank Sinatra, and Elvis Presley impersonators performing this fantasy concert together. And I've gotten to see all these things. And so I have a whole album full of dream show scene. I have another full album of dream dining done. Some awesome places I've gotten to go eat. And these are ways I preserve my awesome. These are ways I build my life of and. If my sense of and were to fade, I have a huge collection of been there, done that to go savor. So brainstorm your own and. You can dream as big as you want for purposes of an and for right now. What and things might you be able to do right now? If you decided that in the next 30 days you were going to go do some cool stuff, what's on your available list of options? Now, I had someone mention them as like, oh, you know, I wish I could afford the Balboa Park Pass, but you know, when you're a single mom and you got 3 kids, and like Tuesdays, if you can get down there on Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, a quarter of the museums are free. Pretty good deal. And so instead of spending $20 to get in the Natural History Museum, you can just walk up because you are a VIP this Tuesday, and then we'll just let you walk right on in. Want to pop over to the Science Center? Just find the Tuesday that's free. You want to see the Japanese gardens? Just find the Tuesday that's free. That ages ago, I probably went to all of the museums for free because I go on a Tuesday. So what and things might you be able to go do right now? For a lot of people, what if someone decided they wanted to go to the zoo? And they're good company. I've taken a lot of people to the zoo. I've taken dates to the zoo. I've taken business colleagues to the zoo. Taken my mom to the zoo. We got some people nodding. So, yep, he's taking me to the zoo. Taking her to the zoo. Hunted down the plaque where we found out. We ended up finding out that one of my friend's grandparents not only was a big donor to the zoo, but they actually had a caracal, which is a pretty good-sized cat with long legs and kind of pointy ears. A caracal that was named after them. That's pretty cool. All these little extra rich things. So now whenever I see a caracal, either at the zoo or the safari park, I go like, oh, I know somebody. And there's extra depth and extra richness to stuff like that. So what ands do you have available? What ands could you do in the next month? What ands could you do in the next few months? What spectacular could you have by the end of the quarter? By the end of spring? By the end of summer? Whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening to this. How about in the next year or two? What could you do in the next year or two? Oh, my list of stuff I could do in the next year or two is pretty spectacular. What's free? There's all kinds of free options. There's all kinds of things you can do that doesn't require money. And sometimes it's a simpler thing. It's like, well, I don't want to use my credit card. I don't have cash in my wallet. What are my options? So what if I decide I want to go to Balboa Park, but I don't have a pass? It's not a free Tuesday. There's still all kinds of stuff there. It's pretty amazing to just wander around. Balboa Park used to be one of my favorite wandering around places. And if you're kind of artsy and you like looking at some of that stuff, the Spanish Village has all these cute little amazing shops of all these artists. I have literally spent an entire day there. Like 6 hours. Just meandering through all of the shops, enjoying all of the art. Every once in a while the artists themselves are there and chatting with the artist. And even if the artist isn't there, the people who work in these tiny little galleries tend to know a lot about the artist and the art, and have all these really cool conversations, without even having to go in a museum. The Timken Gallery is always free, closed on Mondays, as I've recently found out. But it's always free. It has some amazing stuff. So what's free? What's inexpensive? What can you do for just a few bucks? What can you do for whatever inexpensive is for you? So sometimes when I'm thinking about inexpensive is kind of relative. So like if I go up to Legoland, it's $17 for parking. For some people, oh, that's a lot. For some people, that's inexpensive. And if you don't want to spend $17 for parking, I would imagine there's probably a place you can park if you don't mind walking a long way. But for some people, that's a lot. For some people, that's inexpensive. For some people, going out for a restaurant meal is inexpensive. For some people, that's expensive. But whatever your budget is, what's inexpensive? What are some inexpensive adventures you could have? Now, what might you have to save up for? What might you have to budget for? That my niece is right now saving up for a Disney World trip. Second year in a row they're going to Disney World. And they worked out their budget. She's working part-time, and as I understand it, her income is funding their adventures. And so her income is covering both Cedar Point, which is a Six Flags style amusement park, not too far from where they live, for an annual pass, and for this Disney World trip that they're taking. So what might you have to save up for? Now start with at least 20 ideas. At least 20 ideas. Now some of you start writing down these ideas, and ideas will trigger ideas, will trigger ideas, will trigger ideas. Some of you, I didn't even know about the existence of the gambling ship Monte Carlo that's sunken off of Coronado until 2 weeks ago. And so that was a brand new thing for me. I had no idea. I've lived in San Diego since 1965. And in 2017, I found out that the mob had this gambling ship in international waters in the 30s. And on New Year's Eve, a big storm broke it free from its anchors. And when it drifted in the U.S. territorial waters, well, now it's all illegal stuff. You're not in international waters. So it got abandoned by the mob. It got stripped down by the city, but they couldn't afford to move the ship, so it just kind of like sunk right there. And it's like right up against the shore, and when the patterns of the swells move sand in, it buries it, and when the patterns of the swells move sand out, it uncovers it, and so every fall and winter, it can be seen. I didn't even know that. 50 years in San Diego, I did not know that. Well, now I know, so now it goes on the list. And so sometimes you're starting to put things on the list and go like, oh, that reminds me. Oh, I just heard about this. Like, oh yeah, I remember that from like years ago. So start with 20, expand the list, or trim down the list, either way, as you might choose. And then pick a theme if you like. Like I'm doing the Year of San Diego, so that's the theme of local stuff. Sometimes, the theme might be Las Vegas. Sometimes the theme might be, okay, let's see all of the Cirque du Soleil shows that we can see, all the permanent Cirque shows. The theme might be concerts. The theme might be local entertainment. The theme might be national parks, whatever you decide. And you can collect them in different themes. You can just have the whole thing just one theme. Whatever you want to do, just to make it more fun for yourself. One particular day we did something called Cows and Caves, so we have a little bit of the poetic consonants going on there. Went to Red Robin for some premium hamburgers, and we saw the Parade of Cows, which is a art display. And to follow the theme, we went to the La Jolla Cave. Oh, La Jolla Caves, I haven't been there for a while. I should put that on my Year of San Diego list. And so we took the boys to the caves, and so it was the Caves and Cows days, which ended up being more memorable than just cows, because now we have like this thing. A later time we did Gelato and Geppetto's. Geppetto's is a local toy store that does a lot of vintage toys. And so we went out to La Jolla. We're going to wander around some of the studios and galleries out there and go have gelato at one place and then go to Geppetto's, and they could buy some vintage toy stuff at Geppetto's. And by creating this theme, creating this idea around it, makes it more memorable, makes it more of a treasure. Decide what means enough to you to plan it. Decide what goes on a definitely list. Decide what goes on a probably list. You might even decide what goes on a maybe list. Well, this would be nice. I don't know if we'll actually do this, but it would be nice if the opportunity came up. And so I had on some stuff on the list, Fiji, Bora Bora. And that was particularly connected to my last marriage. And so after the divorce, well, that goes into what I call a dropped dreams category. And that's because it was connected to something else. And sometimes as you're moving along, either something closes or something gets canceled, or you find out something is different than it used to be, and so you go. And so make a list. Make an album. Make a vision board. Whatever works for you. Create your own personal age of and memorialize it when you do it. Buy souvenirs when you're there. Pick up keepsakes. I know a woman, she has sand from beaches that she's been to. And she has to label them because, sand is pretty much sand. She's not, unless you're at something like a Black Sands beach where it's like, well, I know where that's from. And she puts sand in these little tubes and she labels them. And there's someone else who just picks up rocks everywhere they go. And so she has a rock from every meaningful place that she's been, and she puts little labels on the rock so she remembers that this rock came from that place. And what I'm doing as part of memorializing things for me is I started an ornament collection. And I have an ornament from the Hotel Del, which I recently found because they were sold out when I tried to buy them in December. From the 2016 Hotel Del. I have the 100th anniversary San Diego Zoo and Safari Park ornament. I have the Disneyland Diamond Anniversary Celebration ornament. And so I'm starting to collect these premium ornaments as my keepsakes. And then, of course, every Christmas they can go up on a tree or even just an ornament stand as just a reminder of highlights of bits of spectacular in my age of and. Whatever helps you vividly savor your and, you can live your and. Enjoy your own age of and.